This is Mrs. Wayner's Math Class, Chapters 6, 7, and 8, Packets E and F. Final checks for answers with fractions or mixed numbers. This is a good review because you need to make sure that this is done for every single answer that's a fraction or a mixed number. Today's learning target: by the end of this lesson, you should confidently be able to say, I can make sure my final fraction and mixed number answers are proper fractions that are fully simplified.
A reminder for all of these lessons with fractions. Once you get an answer, you need to ask yourself 2 questions before you're truly finished. Question number 1, is the fraction a proper fraction? Will it work in a chicken fight? If so, go to question 2. If not, drop it into the division box and divide. In example A, we have the mixed number 2 3/5. My fraction is 3/5. I will only focus on my fraction. So I have to say to myself, is 3/5 a proper fraction? Will it work in a chicken fight? Yes, it will work in a chicken fight. Yes, it is a proper fraction. So now you ask yourself question 2. Now let's look at example B. 4 9/8. Again, focusing just on my fraction. 9/8. Is that a proper fraction? Will it work in a chicken fight? No, it will not. So I need to drop that top-heavy numerator into the division box pool. Boom. Very important. I need to take my whole number and I need to write it on the right side so I don't forget to add it. I like to write it in a bright color like a red. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide. So I'm dividing 8 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 8 equals 8. 9 minus 8 equals 1. Take my remainder, put it as my numerator. Take my divisor, put it as my denominator. And take this mixed number and add it to the number that I already wrote on the side, which was my whole number. So I have 4 plus the 1 1/8. Add them together, nothing on 1/8 is 1/8. 4 plus 1 is 5. So now that is my answer. And now I move on to question 2. So again, if my fraction is a proper fraction, I go to question 2. If my fraction is not a proper fraction, I need to drop it into the division box, add it to my whole number if I have a whole number, and then I move on to question 2. Question 2. Is the fraction fully simplified? Well, I'll do a couple of checks. Check number 1. If there's a 1 in the fraction, not the whole number, remember, I'm only looking at a 1 in the fraction. If there's a 1 in the fraction, my fraction is done. So I have an example here of a fraction 1/8. Oh, there's a 1. My numerator has a 1, so the fraction is done. What if I had this number? What if I had 1 3/8? Would my fraction be done? No, because my fraction is 3/8, and there's not a 1 in my fraction. Question number 2 for is the fraction fully simplified? It's the check 2. If the numerator and denominator are in counting order, my fraction is done. So the example 9/10. Well, I count 9/10, so my fraction is done. What if I had the example 4/5? Well, I count 4/5, so my fraction is done. What if I had the example 15/17? Well, I don't count 15/17, so my fraction is not done. And last but not least, what if I had the fraction 99/100? Well, I do count 99/100, so my fraction is done. Check 3 for question 2. If check 1 and check 2 didn't work, there's no 1, it's not in counting order, I need to find the GCF of both my numerator and denominator. So my numerator is 5, the factors of 5 are 1 and 5. My denominator is 8. The factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. The only common factor and the greatest common factor I have here is 1, and if the GCF is 1, my fraction is done. And finally, for question 2, is the fraction fully simplified? If none of those work, then check 4 is find the GCF. In this case, it's not 1. My fraction is 3/18. My GCF is 3. So then what do I need to do? If the GCF is not 1, I need to take that GCF, put it inside the window box, as we see down here in bright purple, divide by it, and that would give me my fully simplified fraction.